Definitely new product and good timing all the way around, considering it's National Sleep Awareness Month all the way. And so this is something that people have been bothering us for a long time. When we come up with a something that's involved with getting sleep, and so it took a long time to put this together. So what's unique about the format you're going to see today is that, as you guys know, the Practitioner Dietary Supplement Guide, we're the only, because we're a research development firm, we're the only people that actually have one, that actually reference everything for why anything is in the product. So what I did this time, and what we're going to do going forward to make it easier for you, and again, rather than going the Practitioner Dietary Supplement Guide for it all, we put it all in the presentation. So the links are live to the references on everything that you're going to see. I would have to say 70% of the content in this deck, which is all available to you now, 70% of the content is something you might want to go back and look at. Somebody will, someone might not. So the takeaways are all going to be at the bottom of the slide or the bottom of that area, the most important thing. The rest of it is the supporting content that we're not going to go over, or it'd be like a 15-hour lecture otherwise. So we don't need to do that, but I have everything in one place for you, make it easy. And then we have the final takeaways on everything, every ingredient. And then the final sort of 2 slides at the very end that have who would use it, what is it, who would use it, what does it do? We have all that at the very end. But it's important for you to see this. You know me, I can't do anything without, making sure that our practitioners, which is you, feel very comfortable about what they are recommending to people and when they should recommend it. So let's get started. All right, so here it is. This is it. By the way, it says 120 caps, a 2-month supply. Well, it's more than a 2-month, could be a 4-month supply, because the directions are 1 to 2. And the feedback we're getting now, 1 is enough for many people, and 2 is too much for a few. They don't exactly wake up refreshed like I tell them they would. Okay, so there are people that are more sensitive to what's in here. Be mindful that melatonin is a drug, even though it's found in nature. So you're dealing with something here, and then again, melatonin is only one of the things in here, but it is this thing works in a big way for someone that needs it. There are people that don't need it. I've never had to take a sleep aid. I sleep fine, but I'll tell you my experience here in just a little bit. But here's what it's all about. It timely increases melatonin, which is our sleep hormone, and serotonin, which is the calming hormone, right? The feel-good hormone. And these ingredients have been shown to improve overall quality of sleep for persons with common sleep disorders. In other words, better sleep efficiency and reduced sleep disturbances, including, boom, enhancing relaxation before bedtime. That's the key. 1 hour before bedtime, relaxing it. The lemon balm, the 5-HTP, the hops, that's what that's all about right there. Making it easier to fall asleep, increasing total sleep time and shortening the time to fall asleep, enhancing sleep efficiency, the rapid eye movement, which is your best sleep, particularly with higher doses, 3 to 5 grams, which is what we have in here on the melatonin, reducing wakefulness, in other words, reducing the amount of times you wake up in a night, and it is support for insomnia. And admitting jet lag is the only thing I ever use it for as an athlete, because back in my day, it was only a drug. And we all use it when I would do a tour in Europe and I had to do exhibitions. I would use it before I fly, and then the whole time on the 4 days after when you're on the ground to readjust your circadian rhythms. And the same thing for shift workers that have to sleep during the day and work at night. Those are the primary reasons for all of these things here. So what's the goal of this product is get relaxed first, then fast asleep, quality sleep duration, and wake up refreshed. That's what the goal is. And you can titrate this thing properly, because let's face it, it works. There's no question about that. All right, so let's start with each ingredient. Now listen, I don't want you to get like freaked out on the slides. So don't forget, this is also your Practitioner Dietary Supplement reference guide at the same time. So I'm going to be jumping past a lot of stuff, but the important stuff you're going to hit right now. So the melatonin that we use is an immediate release and an extended release, because you want the immediate release in the beginning and extended release that just so it's all gone. The half-life of it's over by the time you get up. Okay, and so melatonin hormone, and everything you need to know about melatonin really is on this slide. It follows a distinct 24-hour pattern in our body. We naturally produce it from the pineal gland and other tissues as well, but we're talking about the 24-hour circadian rhythm that the humans have. Remember, we're not nocturnal animals. We are daytime animals. So it follows that distinct pattern, which means that our melatonin, it's our sleep hormone, it increases right after dark, and it tells the body it's nighttime. And that begins to get you to start thinking about sleep. It peaks during the night and declines at dawn. And that synchronizes our clock as daytime creatures. The primary, and that's why it is the primary active ingredient. And it's been used for years, obviously, and we know everybody knows it works. And the sleep, and is the primary one in ours, but it's often recommended as a natural alternative for people that struggle with sleep. They go right to the drugs. I've got this this thing for a big pharma just wants everybody on drugs, so you can do it with a much more gentle, where there's not so much dependency, right? All those things. So we can definitely natural alternative for individuals struggling with sleep disturbances due to aging, which almost every aging person doesn't sleep certainly in the way they did when they were younger. Stresses, irregular schedules, or jet lag. Okay, so real quick, see the top up there? That is right there. You're looking at a summary of benefits of melatonin supplementation. So this is a whole 2025 meta-analysis on all the studies there. The mechanisms of action are pretty clear. Melatonin is the hormone secreted by a pineal gland here that tells us when it's dark, right? It tells us when to wake up. And then there's some other stuff in there as well. These are things I'll just pass over. It also regulates we have genes that are regulated to our daytime animal prospects. And these are the ones that it actually hits. Melatonin is involved in. And then, of course, it promotes that sleep efficiency. Sleep efficiency is really just good sleep, good quality sleep. And of course, the duration is time. But so it does a whole lot more than just, again, telling you it's time to go to sleep. It makes everything a little bit easier. And I put all these little bullets down below this thing here that kind of tell you what is circadian rhythm, anybody that's interested in it. So this is how it works. It also works this way. The sleep stages we have, it increases rapid eye movement, which is sort of that sweet sleep everybody wants to have. All right. And then, of course, it decreases this. It slightly decreases the slow wave, which is not important. But at the end of the day, it enhances overall sleep quality. And again, for shift workers, what you need to know when you're taking this thing is that when you're taking it as a shift worker, is it can reset the biological clock. So now you're actually a nocturnal animal, I hate to say the thing, but like a rat nocturnal animal, or some of the other foragers that feed at night, owls and so forth. You actually can reset the whole thing with the proper doses of melatonin. And higher doses, 5 milligrams. What we use really is the one that is the most effective. However, low doses work. And the lower the dose, if you can do it on lower doses, you want to. That's why we put it in the one serving and 2 tablets. If you can do it on one, stay with one all the way around. Okay, so here's some studies if anybody's ever interested, but these are the benefits of melatonin supplementation. Remember, I'm talking about melatonin by itself. Forget about the rest of them yet. This is melatonin by itself. Increases sleep time. This is a compilation of all the studies out there. Sleep efficiency, sleep consolidation, which means less awakenings. Beneficial for nighttime and daytime. That's the people that work night shifts. But the big one here for me is safe alternative to prescription sleep aids, because you get addicted to those sleep aids. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to be dependent on something like this, but it's nothing like a drug. Like the drugs that you out there where people wake up groggy and they're addicted to it as all. But again, this is a normal one that has a half-life, so it'll be wiped out of your system, within the day. And there's some other studies here that I put in here if anybody is interested. And again, this is all like part of your PDSRG. But when you look at it on sleep quality, there's a whole systematic review all the way through 2025 on how well melatonin works. All right, so what's our takeaway on melatonin? The first primary ingredient in this is this. Melatonin supplementation, particularly in high doses, 5 milligrams, is an effective intervention for improving sleep in adults by increasing sleep efficiency and duration. That's pretty much the whole package. Its mechanism of action through circadian rhythm regulation, all it's doing is just making our clock. It creates the clock that we have. And it also neuronal suppression. Remember, at some point you got to calm down. So it's involved in that as well. Makes it a promising natural alternative for individuals struggling with sleep disturbances due to aging, stresses, and irregular schedules. Now, the second part of the takeaway is going to be the unique contribution of the ingredients. So you're sitting here and goes, so why do we need anything else besides melatonin? Well, when you combine the other ones, there's a complementary effect there that can work on the calming part and all of us, which is why we put them all together, though, and you'll find out. It took us a while to get this done. Okay, so it's unique. This is the unique, remember, we're only talking about melatonin. The unique contribution is direct management of the circadian clock. None of the other ones have direct management of the circadian clock because this is a natural hormone we produce. We don't produce lemon balm. We don't produce hops. Okay, that's external. That's exogenous sources that we produce this. So we're just kind of getting it up there and be able to maintain that circadian rhythm that we want for people that need it. Okay, so there it is right there. That is unique connection. Now, what I did put here is this. If you're using it for specific reasons, insomnia, delayed sleep, in other words, if you look at, you have these the sleep disorders, jet lag, shift work disorders. These are, I can't put this on the label. They wouldn't allow us, but the FDA doesn't allow us to do all this stuff on the label. I'd love to, but that's why I do it for you and your PDSRG. That's how you would use this this is how you would take the doses based on that, and it's all in the red. And of course, there's no safety issue with it at all, basically. There's some clinical uses here, by the way, pain management. It's an adjunct therapy for all types of things in certain diseases. So, which we know, that's why we know it's very safe. Okay, now this is for your information. This would only be in your PDSRG, so we're going to just jump through. I just want to show you this. Melatonin isn't just involved in sleep. Just like any hormone, testosterone isn't just involved in building muscle. You know, estrogen isn't just involved in certain female hormones. It affects all parts of the body. Everything in the body is connected. So I just wanted you to know this. So beyond sleep, I put a couple of slides in here for you together. There's two sources. The pineal gland is the only one we're concerned with right now. It's the one that releases the hormone melatonin into your circulation that controls our circadian rhythm. That's the only one. And by the way, that's all people talk about. And I always talk about when I talk to people about, that's the pineal gland releases it, and that's the only place it comes from. That's so untrue. Only 5% of the amount is actually produced in the pineal gland, but that's the only one involved in your timing. But you can see this is an important picture here. This is what, now you see why babies sleep forever. Look how much melatonin is produced naturally in the body. And this is, again, from the pineal gland. Look how much is produced in the body when you're like this, and then it just goes like this, like this, like this. And by the way, they ran out of numbers on me. I'm 72, so right there they stopped. But bottom line is, this is how much more melatonin, and that's why it's actually an anti-aging supplement as well. Because here are the second part. Another 95% of the melatonin that's produced in the body is in individual tissues. And it's involved in antioxidant actions, anti-inflammatory actions. It increases performance with athletes. So they will take a certain dose, smaller dose, obviously, a little bit there when they're older athletes. You don't need to when you're younger. And regulation of just glucose management. So that's the second source of melatonin. And it's not involved, it does not involve in the circadian rhythm. It's involved in more the redox, the amount of antioxidant protection we get as we age. So I just put that in as for your information. There's that part there, and that was the whole reason. The age reduction in there, be able to offset that, some good things can happen. There's a significant impact on health with that. And anybody interested, this is its role in against aging right here. So this is beyond sleep for anybody that wants to know. These links are live, so click on the studies. Anybody wants to go deeper on the neuroprotective effects, mitochondrial protection, antioxidant role, and then therapeutic potential there. So the final takeaway on your melatonin, the first primary ingredient in this thing is this. It plays a central role in regulating circadian rhythms. We got that. And it can counteract, especially supplementation, can counteract the age-related disruptions. Its decline with age contributes to misalignment, which is why older people don't sleep very well. but it also contributes to oxidative stress and neurodegenerative disorders. So as a timing ingredient, as a timing therapeutic agent, right, it holds potential to mitigate age-related circadian rhythm disruptions, but also promoting healthy aging through antioxidant and neuroprotective properties. And that's sort of the final thing on the primary ingredient in this product. All right, let's go to the second one now, 5-HTP. And again, this is something that our body can actually, but it's also found in nature. So we can actually make it as a supplement as well. And by the way, for any of you who remember the Apex days, we made this separately. We made melatonin separately. They were there. We used this, though, at a higher dosage to control appetite. And it does. But we're only talking about related to sleep. And we're going to talk about it by itself. But there's a reason why it's in here to support melatonin. And that's what your take-home message is going to be from this. It supports sleep and stress by acting as a precursor to the feel-good hormone serotonin. So melatonin doesn't do that necessarily. This goes directly to that. So you'll see that. Okay, but you can also make melatonin, more melatonin from having enough 5-HTP going through the body. So in our formula, it's in a lower dosage at 50 milligrams purposely. If we add too much, you can go to a bad place. I see this happen too many times. So it's supportive to the melatonin content. That's what it's all about. It really is the relaxation piece of the puzzle along with lemon balm, which you'll find out in just a minute. Okay, so if we just take a look at that, and anybody wants to study it, just click on the top thing there. Everything you ever want to know about 5-HTP, which is hydroxytryptophan, and yes, it can be made from tryptophan. How it works in the body, anything is right there in all of that. But let's just look at the benefits of it by itself. Remember, we're talking about each ingredient by itself right now, but I'm telling you why it's in the formula from a synergistic standpoint. It is the natural precursor to serotonin and melatonin, and both those two are obviously involved in sleep regulation. The bottom line is, in our formula, we have a lower dose because it plays a supportive role to melatonin. Too much, you end up with what we call serotonin syndrome, where, if you're on depression medication, SSRIs or something, now you're going to have too much serotonin going in the body, and that can actually work the other way around. But this is often used, again, for depression and for anxiety and things like that. So the mechanism of action, anything you see in red is generally going to be the unique mechanism of action. So we already talked about this. There's a conversion to serotonin. We got that. And that plays a key role in mood regulation because it's the feel-good hormone, like dopamine is the feel-good hormone. It plays a key role in mood regulation, cognition, and sleep. Now, also, and when it comes to, again, we're talking about 5-HTP alone right now. Besides increasing serotonin levels, it also is involved in sort of deeper sleep because it does that before you get to bed, and it helps regulate that sort of anxiety that can happen there. And again, it's only because there's certain people that just don't make enough serotonin by itself. And of course, that links it to anxiety reduction as well. Therefore, indirectly contributes to sleep. Anybody interested in any of the studies, the benefits of 5-HTP alone for sleep duration and quality, sleep onset, so you fall asleep faster, and this is alone. And then support sleep in individuals with depression, anxiety, because you've got more serotonin, which you're lacking. So what's the takeaway here and its unique contribution? Overall, 5-HTP supports sleep by acting as a precursor to serotonin and melatonin. We got that, both of which are essential, but especially beneficial for people suffering from sleep disorders related to serotonin deficiency, such as insomnia. If you look at people that have insomnia, have extreme serotonin deficiencies, depression-related sleep disturbances, and sleep terrors. Sleep aid also provides melatonin, right, directly, so we don't need that to do anymore, but the 5-HTP can be synergistic through the calming mechanism without causing too much sleepiness. That's what it's all about. And by the way, down below, I've talked about the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. If someone's on antidepressants, this should not bother them because the 50 milligrams is low enough, because most people aren't going to tell you they're taking an SSRI, but this should not bother them. That doesn't mean it won't. It should not bother them at all on that for the most part. If it doesn't work, and it just, if it sets them off in any other way, they just stop taking it. But what is a unique contribution, and why did we put in the product? Because of its serotonergic activities, the calming, the feel-good transmitter. That's why it's in there. So that's the whole idea of being relaxed throughout the day, because this will stay in your body also and relax throughout the day. There's some notes down here. Again, if you're going to use it by itself as a sleep aid, it can be used anywhere from 50 to 300 milligrams a day. FYI, here's for your information for any of you science buffs out there and you want to know what 5-HTP is used for alone, and a lot. We made an APA. We had 300 milligram tablets for weight management, and by the way, it actually works very, very well on that. It cuts the appetite. And then right now, it's a very popular migraine supplement. It might be almost first recommendation for migraines to prevent them. It's prophylactic. It's all about preventing a migraine. 600 milligrams a day for about 6 months to get there. So anyway, I just wanted to put all this in there for anybody that's interested. It's involved in a lot. Like I said, nothing works in a vacuum. Things have other aspects of the human body that it works in. Okay, the two big boys are done, but this was another big boy. In fact, I learned a lot on this one because I do work with a lot of people that will take this product by itself, and about anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff. But lemon balm, again, I'm not an expert on so many herbs. I've become an expert recently because of the super blend and its popularity, understanding ashwagandha, turmeric, and the mushroom blends and stuff. But lemon balm is interesting, very, very interesting. And the reason we put it in here at the right dosage, we feel it's the right dosage, 300 milligrams, that complements everything there when you look at all the science. It's just, obviously you can find it in nature. It's been used for thousands of years to treat anxiety, insomnia, menstrual irregularities, and other conditions. But we have it here in the right dosage that we feel is supportive and additive. And you'll find that out as I go through this thing right now with it, to the other product ingredients. So if you want to know anything about it, it's right there. This is a review, a 2025, published 2025, but all the way through 2024, a review of lemon balm by itself. Remember, I'm talking about each ingredient by itself. And I kind of close with why it's synergistic to what we're trying to do in the big picture. So mechanisms of action on calming, sleep, anxiety, and effective dosage, right? So here, now I called these out in red. Remember I told you the unique contribution is going to be called out in red. So this one, it definitely has some unique contributions to the formula. It has what we call GABAergic. Now, all that, you guys have seen these supplements. These supplements are sold like crazy. Like they're on a hockey stick right now, GABA supplements, which is gamma-aminobutyric acid. I mean, we've known that for years about it. It has an anti-anxiety effect because what it does, it inhibits the neurotransmitters that make you excited. I mean, that when you wake up, you've got a certain amount, and GABA keeps you calm. Otherwise, you'd just be going crazy all the time. But GABA is that calming neurotransmitter. And the ingredient, rosmarinic acid, inside the lemon balm, that inhibits the enzyme that breaks down GABA normally. And a lot of people just don't have that perfect little feedback loop. So you've got a certain amount of GABA there, and but that enzyme's more active, so it breaks it down, and then adding GABA or increasing GABA levels promotes that relaxation and everything else. So this works on that particular person. This works very well all by itself because it inhibits the enzyme that breaks it down, and you have crazy amount of enzymes that are breaking it down. And they're the people that often will have anxiety and so forth. Okay, now let's move down to the other one there. It's also involved in the serotonergic system that we just talked about, but that may not be unique. That just might be complementary. But the cholinergic thing, and this is also another unique contribution, because we know there's cognitive benefits if we can actually in mood stabilization all the way around, because it inhibits the enzymes that preserve serotonin. So it blocks those enzymes that would normally break down serotonin and dopamine, which of course that's how it balances the mood out. So it affects that. Now, the last two on this one here, gut-brain influence. You guys, if you've been involved in any of my seminars on probiotics and prebiotics, we know that the gut pretty much is the first line of defense in everything, and it sends signals to the rest of the body how bad things are going to go or good things are going to go. And lemon balm, I guess this is probably how it got in thousands of years ago as a medicine. It affects the gut microbiota, and it's which contributes to the mood ring that we call the gut-brain axis. It kind of just tells you what's going on outside, and then it sends signals to your brain how to react to it. And so lemon balm is again an herb that can actually feed the good bacteria. And then the last thing it's been shown to reduce cortisol. And again, these are all by itself. I put some doses in here in combinations, usually in combination with other things. This is not important to you, but it's just some of the doses. It's all by itself. So conclusion, specific benefits with this all the way around. Reducing mild to moderate anxiety and stress. That was originally what it was all about, which would obviously just go to the next one, improving sleep duration, enhancing mood and emotional well-being. And again, just click on these studies for anything that you want there. And again, this is all by itself. So your conclusion and takeaway, lemon balm shows promising effects across the lifespan, and it's been used across the lifespan for a lot of people. Its safety profile is perfect, and multiple pathways effects makes it a compelling natural supplement for improving psychological well-being, which would contribute to sleep. We use it in a dosage designed to be supportive and synergistic in increasing the efficacy and safety, or the results and safety, allowing a lower dose of the other ones. The lower you can get the dose, the better everything's going to be as far as using it. It's just sort of a natural aid all the way around. So now its unique contributions, I think you got a whole bunch of them here from this one, right? The unique part is increases GABA levels, the calming, or by inhibiting its breakdown. Mood stabilization, which was that cholinergic modulation, reducing cortisol, and then prebiotic effect. So none of the other ingredients have that contribution to the calming and mood regulation that it does with this one. So that's why the dosage is, that's how you come up with a dosage. You've got to look at everything. How does it work alone? How might it support this? And how might it do this? And again, this is maybe the way you kind of figured things out years and years ago. And then you kind of land on something. We have to have more science to kind of put it together today. Okay. So we're going to get to magnesium in just a second, which is the one I'm going to give you another nutrition lesson that I hopefully you'll grasp again. You've had it 100 times from me, from day one if you've been around me, from Cat, day 2, day 3, whatever you want. You've had it. We're going to get to that in a minute. But let's talk about why we put 150 milligrams of hops in here. It's another one that's been used for centuries. And of course, as we know, to preserve beer, but it's also been used as a medicine. It is just a part of a plant. It's a natural herb, but it's used commonly for literally thousands of years for restlessness, tension, excitability, attention deficit disorder, all this stuff here regularly. And by the way, it works so well by itself at much higher doses, of course. The German commissionee actually has it, which was equivalent to the doctor's recommendation guide, the physician's desk reference on something that you can recommend or prescribe. So it's actually a drug, even though it's natural, in Europe, to make sure they make it right and when they recommend it for any of these things we just talked about here. But it's a cofactor for us and supportive. The 150 milligrams is the sweet spot on how it supports melatonin, 5-HTP, and so forth. Mechanism of action. So I'm going to call them out. Now, we just saw lemon balm and how it's had the gamma ergic actions modulation. It worked there, but this works differently, and it interacts with the receptors for GABA, and that enhances the same thing that we're doing when we are breaking down the enzymes. So this one is different, and it works the central nervous system different to increase relaxation and sedation. It also can, depending on your levels in your body, increase serotonin, melatonin release. So those are a couple things there, even though we don't necessarily need that. So let's take a look at benefits again for sleep and relaxation. Now, it's almost always combined with something else. So I just put the ones in here that are basically without anything here, just as all hops by itself. Standalone hops at a higher doses, much higher dose, 3 to 500, shows moderate benefits. Hops 100 to 200 combined with valerian root or melatonin, stronger benefits. That was the point. So here it is in combination. I put this here for anybody that gives a shit. Here it is in supportive ingredient. And so you find it in a lot of formulas out there. Valerian root, hops and melatonin, hops and theanine and magnesium, and hops and alcoholic beer, non-alcoholic beer. So here's your just takeaway on this ingredient and why we put it in here. Alone is promising natural sleep aid due to its GABAergic, unique GABAergic activity. It enhances serotonin and melatonin production. It can do that too at higher doses. We don't need that. And play a supportive role in improving onset of sleep quality. Standalone hops shows benefits combining hops, 100, 200 with valerian melatonin, like we have in the sleep aid. And by the way, if anybody's going to ask about valerian, why didn't we put that in there? There was a reason. There's far more side effects. It works very well, by the way, but there's far more side effects with it. That's the reason we skipped it. Or other common ingredients like magnesium and lemon balm appears to provide greater sleep enhancing effects than by itself. So the 150 we think is the sweet spot of adding that to the formula. So unique contribution, exclusive interaction with the receptors of GABA, right? The GABA A receptors, enhances their inhibitory effects of the central nervous, leading to increased relaxation and sedation. And it also can increase serotonin and melatonin by a different mechanism. So that's why we included it. Okay, now we're really done with what I really want to talk about the ingredients there. We're going to get now, I got 10 minutes left for me so I can open this thing up for, I'll be on as long as you guys want. I want to open it up for another 15 minutes for all of you with Q&A and feedback and so forth. But okay, I'm just telling you, I'm going to give you just a quick headline. Shame on you if anybody in your orbit is not getting enough magnesium between their diet. Forget I don't care how bad their diet is. I get that. And supplementation. We have it in our multi. We have it in our calcium supplement. And there's only a certain number that you don't want. There's a number that you don't want to exceed supplement-wise. Diet-wise, it doesn't really matter. So I just want to make sure you understand why you have 100 mgs, because I had someone actually make a comment. I mean, when we were putting it together, not since then, obviously, but while we were putting it together, why wouldn't we put more? Because people take 500 milligrams a day, 700 milligrams a day of magnesium and helps them sleep. Well, guess what? That's because they don't get shit any other way. That's all they get. So you're going to learn why we did this and why it's so important that you pay attention to everyone that you're working with, because magnesium doesn't work in a vacuum. It needs other vitamins and minerals to work with it. And everyone in our orbit should be taking a multivitamin mineral or the super blend, which has the same thing in it. Okay, so let's get started. You ready? Okay, so I got to do this. I got to do this in about 8 minutes, but it's really important. We always it's essential. If without magnesium, life doesn't even start. We know that. But it's a little bit different than all the other minerals. It's involved in more biochemical reactions than any vitamin or mineral in the body. 800 different ones. There's more than that. There's probably a couple thousand. I mean, it's always connected somewhere. But these are some major ones here. So in the body's sleep system, magnesium supports melatonin synthesis. So if it's low, you're not going to make enough melatonin. Remember that. Which influences, of course, the circadian rhythm and stability, and enhances the GABA A receptor activity. You guys all know what this is now, which suppresses the normal. So those are directly related to the sleep system. What about the other 800? So proper magnesium daily amounts can lead to improved sleep if you get proper amounts. Stay with me yet. In our formula, we actually took a very highly bioavailable. So actually that 100 milligrams is probably really worth a lot more than that, because it's going to get to the target tissues, because it's a glycinate. So that's a glycine amino acid. It's amino acid chelate, malic acid, citric acid. Just makes it a little more, absorbable. No big deal. Supportive to the other ingredient contents. And the magnesium in your daily, so it's not supportive just to that, your multi, because if you're not getting someone a multi, forget the sleep formula. You got to start with a multi. That doesn't mean they're all going to do it, hopefully, but the bottom line is
you're going to get 100 to 200 out of your multi. You get 200, 160, or I put a number together for you. 100 is like the women's multi for a reason, because they're going to, most of them are going to take the calcium supplement. It's got more magnesium. And then, of course, the 200 is in your two actives. And the super blend's got 180 or something like that. So anyway, typical US diet's got 268. We know that. That's for men, and 234 for women. In other words, you can't avoid it. That's why nobody dies from magnesium deficiency. One way or another, you're going to get a little bit, but you're not getting nearly the RDA. So total right here with the supplementation we're talking about, you're going to get 450 to 550, which is beautiful. This daily amount of magnesium may also offer a unique mechanism of action. So let's just take a look in the next part. Daily recommendation is 420. Forget the RDA, 320 to 420. It's 420 all the way around for kids 4 years and older, for everybody 4 years and older. Now, and again, food intake, I listed all that. I listed what the RDA. RDA doesn't mean a whole lot. It just means that it's not meant to be optimal. It just eliminates deficiencies. Estimated average intake's even lower than that, but it just means that 50% of the population is going to be okay if they eat that much. What about the other 50? I don't know if anybody gives a shit about them or not, but I guess that's the way they curve all these things. Reminders for all of you. Okay, now here's the part I want you to remember as I go through this little piece for you. Calcium to magnesium intake ratio is about 2 to 3 to 1, which means calcium, 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, because that's what's generally in the blood. If you overstep that by taking magnesium supplements, I can't tell you how many people I took on all the influencers. That's why you got to watch the sub piece. I take them all on that. I go, what are you guys doing? Recommending magnesium supplements. Now you got to have this kind of magnesium to sleep and everything else. Well, you're offsetting the ratio. And now your bones are going to suffer. So that's one thing. And the second thing, they don't need it if they're doing all the other things right. They're far more important. So you got to make sure you watch that episode on some of that stuff. We take on all this crap that's on there. And we make you superstars. We don't talk about dotFIT. We talk about you, the people in our gyms. Magnesium can compete with calcium for absorption. So we want to maintain somewhat of that ratio. So I'm just giving you this. So look at magnesium. So I put this diagram in here. They did a good job with it. Look at, there's 5 main domains for magnesium. Can't even read all that, right? So it's, there's 800 enzymatic reactions throughout the body, low levels negatively affect the entire organism, including sleep. So let's just look at sleep and mental health. So magnesium is necessary for this. A GABA receptor agonist. It can actually make it GABA more effective. So if you're low on magnesium, you're just, then now you add magnesium, then something good might happen. It regulates cortisol, and it's a cofactor in making serotonin. In other words, if there was no magnesium, you'd make no serotonin. If there's a little magnesium, you make a little serotonin. Okay, so these are just all the facts. I'm just calling them all out for you. So let's take a look. Okay, now here's the big thing I want to leave you with right now. Again, because you guys have heard us talk about this for the triage effect. Smartest scientists in the world figured all this out. But this just tells you everything. Magnesium supplementation rationale for sleep is generally rooted in its underconsumption from diet. And we know from diet, the average American gets half of what they need. So that limits the benefits to specific populations. But here's the effect. I'm going to take you through this right now. Limited availability of magnesium from food alone, which is about half of what the body can use. And guess what? It needs it all over the place. So when you get half of it, it's going to be routed to the most important reactions that it's necessary for, right? And that's daily survival. In other words, life is more important than osteoporosis later on in life or dementia. In other words, these indispensable things, it's going to be routed now so that half the amount you're getting from a diet is going to be routed to your genomic stability, your genes stable, DNA repair and protection, which takes place every day. Magnesium is responsible for that. ATP production. You don't move a muscle without ATP. Blood pressure, insulin metabolism, neuromuscular function. These are all minute by minute things that you will die from if you don't have enough being produced. So what do you think is going to happen to the rest of magnesium's roles that are more related to longevity, like the overall long-term health of your cardiovascular system, your cognitive system, your muscle long-term health? Okay, so go back to the other diagram and find that out. They're all going to be compromised. And guess what's the first thing to go? Probably your sleep quality. How important is that compared to life itself? In other words, magnesium survival actions, the ones we just lay there in red, outweigh the longer term health functions contributions. And this is called evolutionary triage. This is how anyone stayed alive for only 20 years. For the first 4 million years as hominids, we only said the average life was 20 years. They stayed alive by taking whatever they got of any of these nutrients, into the places that would keep you alive. And then, of course, that's what now that we can live longer and cheat death, everything breaks because we don't have enough to support long-term health. So that's all suffers. With sleep was probably going to be the very first system that suffers. So how important is sleep compared to heart beating, your muscle contracting, energy production, DNA protection, and other survival? So obviously that's what's going to happen. So this is where I get crazy and I take on all these influencers that are selling shit. Available magnesium, your take home, will be used for daily survival functions, depriving the body of its magnesium ability to support long-term health functions. And sleep will probably be the first thing to go. And here's the bigger part. Like all the other 32 essential vitamins and minerals, it does not function in a vacuum. No human is born with just magnesium. Okay, so you've got all the other ones, including in sleep. Like all vitamins and minerals, requires other vitamins to be present for it to positively affect everything, all the genes, all that stuff. Any shortage of any vitamin mineral, essential, creates a domino effect. You don't have enough vitamin A, vitamin C, magnesium's not going to work as good. You don't have enough magnesium, another one's going to work. They rely on each other to optimize your metabolism and all their pathways. And by the way, this is straight out of all of your biology texts that you ever took. If a human is completely lacking on even one essential vitamin mineral, they cannot survive. Now we're not, because we figure out how to get enough food now. It's all delivered, and even though it's all processed, whatever, we get it. But a deficiency of any crucial nutrient can lead to severe health complications, ultimately be fatal if you don't correct it, obviously. Okay, so just reminders, you get it. So your conclusion and takeaway here on this background issue. Before adding individual magnesium supplementation for sleep quality, because everybody's buying this shit right now all by itself, meet the 400 to 500 through diet supplement and supplement intake that includes your complete multi, because you can't just take magnesium if the other ones aren't working well, which includes the other 20 known underconsumed. From that baseline, if sleep quality is still suffering, it's probably unrelated to magnesium. But it's okay. Supplementation, even beyond the tolerable upper limit, is an option for as long as you're working with a qualified professional. And by the way, the upper limit for magnesium supplementation alone, because food you can eat as much as you want, is 350. But and I'll pull that together for you in a minute. But in other words, that can be added to whatever comes from your food. Even if you get 1,000 milligrams of magnesium from your food, because food acts completely different than supplementation. Supplementation is too strong compared to food. Now, the lack of this background that I just gave you has created a rash of magnesium supplementation promotion on social media platforms, mostly unfounded. So make sure you watch Suck Beef, and I'll take these guys out for you, promoting you. All right, so mechanisms of action, we already saw them on the other page there, but the big one is this. So you don't have enough magnesium in your diet, but it actually is a natural blocker of the receptor that, there's a receptor that keeps you, that makes you sort of adrenaline and sort of excited all the time, NMDA. Okay, and again, it's just a methyl aspartate, but it actually blocks that. There's a picture of it right there. So we have enough, it blocks it well. You don't have enough, glutamate, which is flowing throughout the body, ends up in there, and you end up excited all the time. So that's why magnesium has a calming effect, because, by the way, that's going to be displaced when you're getting enough. That's like the last thing magnesium is going to have to worry about. It's got to keep your ATP being produced, your heart pumping, and everything else. So there's just some different mechanisms of magnesium by itself in the body. Now you can see people go, well, that's why you got to take it. Oh, it helps with this. It helps with relaxation. Yeah, it only does if you're low on it. So benefits of magnesium supplementation alone, only in specific population, generally associated with their pre-supplement baseline levels. So improved sleep quality, because they probably got no magnesium, very little from the diet, all that. So I listed them all there. I'm getting to the punchline here. And if you want to know anything more about magnesium, most of the time, most of your supplements out there for sleep will include something else besides magnesium. So I just showed you some here. You can click on all these and get some more information that just confirms everything we just looked at. So who would benefit from, now this is here, I want you to watch this. Populations that would benefit most from magnesium supplementation. Now this is right off of meta-analysis, 250 to 729 milligrams. But that's because what? The first one, magnesium deficiency or insufficiency is number one. Most people don't get enough. Older adults, because we can't even absorb it. Even if we're getting from diet, we don't absorb it very well. High stress levels. The rest of it is different. You're looking at different stuff there. Rest of the leg syndrome. But so what I did, I put this in here for you. So anybody interested on any of the evidence-based ingredients of anything or evidence-based compounds that actually work for sleep quality, they're all listed in this study right here. All this here. But here's what they said about magnesium when they got to the magnesium section. With regards to sleep, magnesium has several essential functions. We just saw them all, right? Okay, all that. But furthermore, magnesium also has some other parts in the body. However, despite its popularity, there are very few, and I couldn't find any, clinical benefits to magnesium supplementation in individuals with adequate serum magnesium, and that is every one of your clients. There is potential in these individuals for it to work for sleep quality. So now you know why we put 100 milligrams rather than 500 or rather than 400 or 300 or whatever. So in our world, there should not ever be a magnesium deficient or insufficient. Therefore, 100 milligram ad from the sleep aid is safe and appropriate. Two actives has 200, which is the recommendation for actives generally, unless you're really tiny, 200 milligrams. Women's has 100. Why? Because most women need the calcium supplement, and that supplement has 125 in one tab, 250. So we're making sure we are recognizing the upper limit of supplements only. The Superman has 160, and the Sleep Aid has 100. Boom. And by the way, the UL of 350 subs is generally disregarded because it's based on a single dose, not spread like ours would be. Further, we don't want to compromise the calcium-magnesium ratio. So I just took you through everything you do to create the perfect product. And that's what we do that no one else does. They just throw shit in, put a number up there, and you put a name up there, put a whatever number, and no one knows all these details. So I just wanted to make sure that you understand the work that goes behind everything that we do. But that's the synergy of how that all works. So your final conclusion takeaway, meet the 400 to 500 through diet and supplements intake that includes your multivitamin. And the other, including the 20 under consumed, okay? You can't just take magnesium. And the super blend, these, I put all the numbers in there as well. Diet's got about 250. So your total is going to end up being 450, 550 when you do everything right. Okay, now our unique contribution, again, there are some people maybe that you might have to go to the next level with it all the way around. So that's your final conclusion. That's why we put 100. So it's safe and appropriate. You're not going to get past anything. And you're also might compliment somebody that's just not quite getting enough and they need a little extra. All right, so here we go. We're done. We're going to open it up here now. So here it is. Everything we just talked about is all here. What is it? Promoting improved natural sleep. And again, these are for people that have sleep problems. Okay. Instant controlled release melatonin combined with 5-HTP, primary active, and then supporting herbs. What does it do? Everything we saw on the first slide. I already read it to you. I have to read it to you again. Okay. But there's some also, you can click on that there. And who would use it? Adults with trouble falling to sleep. And again, I'm not saying you can't use it as a kid, but that's just the way we play in the business world. And staying asleep, including supporting insomnia. But I want you to look at this. I mean, shift work is a big one. Circadian rhythm stuff. So that's also jet lag. That's what we call it. Same thing. We can reset. Remember, it works in the daytime as well as the nighttime. If we increase that over time, we can actually change our circadian rhythm in the body. I'm not saying you want to do that. I don't know. Shift work's a pretty tough job, but at least it will make it more comfortable for people. And then if you want a safe and effective alternative to prescription sleep aids, which of course we know that it has adverse effects like fall risk. People fall, they just never wake up from it. And they get more deeper and deeper in depression, all that kind of stuff. And of course, there's dependency. So that's everything that's on this page. is on this page. So you can share this any way you would like as well. Get relaxed, then fast asleep, quality sleep duration, and wake up refreshed. My final thing is make sure you start everybody out at 1 tab. I know some people that have already taken 2 tabs right off the bat and they didn't quite wake up real well. This really worked, but everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to react different to all these things. So they're very active psychochemicals. This is quite unique for all of you now that are going here. It works very well. We know that the feedback we've got has been fantastic, but it's all about dosing. Always start with the lowest dosage. So 1 tab, it says on the label, but start with 1 tab. And if you need to go to the next thing, then take 2. I've had 1 tab, I've heard affects nobody. 2 tabs does. I've heard 2 tabs, people sleep too much. So, all of it, just, we know it works and everybody's going to be a bit different. There's responders, there's less responders, there's ultra responders. So keep that in mind. Okay. Oh, we don't need any of this. I'm sorry. When we're done. Okay. Boom. Oh, wait, I think I have hold on a minute. Oh yeah, make sure you watch Sup Beast because you're going to get all the facts and but we only push you to, we don't promote dotFIT. I push everyone to our practitioners that have gone through all of you that are on there. That's where you get stuff. Screw the nutrition influence. I love influencer for other stuff. Don't get me wrong, but for nutrition, stay out of our lane. We own it, and right there in our clubs. And that's you. And these are all the latest things now. Everything's shipping now on here. The pineapple squirrel super blend will be ready. It's in NSF right now. It'll be ready in April. All good. Now we're good. Okie doke. Okay, so let's go. Let's get some questions, some feedback, anything here.
Raise your hand or enter in the chat anybody that may have a question.
But we can also unmute them, can't we, if we want?
I can, yes, when they raise.
Okay, yeah, so we can unmute you if you rather than type it in. So give me some feedback all the way around, you guys. Come on.
A question in the chat. Great info, and we can't wait to offer this at the YAC. We are curious about something unrelated. Why is the dotFIT logo now silver?
Is it silver? I don't know.
If you're referring to Instagram, we are playing around with some different looks just to make things maybe not as harsh, but everything is staying the same for right now. We're just kind of.
I didn't even know that. So thank you, whoever that was. Elizabeth, does working until 11 count as shift work? I mean, that's a good question. I think, that if you're working till 11, going right to bed, and you're having trouble doing all that, you're really sleeping solid, there's no reason you wouldn't take it right around 10:30. And try that. But if you don't have any trouble sleeping after that, no, then you're good.
Matt is asking, how about periodic use when you have bad sleep?
That's it. It should, by the way, said perfectly, Matt, it should be used periodically. There's no reason to use it daily. Now, that said, it might take 4 days to reset your clock, 5 days to reset your clock and get it all kind of flowing in the right way. But then you definitely I would do everything I could. Like when I traveled and I never used the sleep formula. We used to use melatonin back in the day. That would reset our clock when we traveled. Then I never used it again when I was back home. So, yes, I would use it sporadically that way. Did you say Germans listed beer as an official sleep aid? Yes, they do. It's hops. It's not, it was hops. It treats anxiety, but it's a different form, obviously. That's very good, Mark. All right, who else? Someone's got to have something else for me. I know we're at the hour, but you know what, Elizabeth? It's not NSF certified. It's third-party tested, and you can get that information from the website, which company does it. But because athletes are now, and professional athletes are now doing more international travel than ever, we're probably going to have to get it. They don't care if it's third-party tested. It's got to be NSF certified. We do everything third-party tested, of course, but we don't waste our money on a fourth-party test with NSF unless we're selling into pro sports, college sports, where they require an extra one. They require only that. So the answer is, I'm guessing yes. It's going to be soon. What could the use also benefit our clients for change in themselves? Well, Anti-anxiety. There might be something there. We're not promoting it for that, but maybe the anti-anxiety part. Listen, when you get better sleep, everything just works better when you get up the next day. Everything just goes smoother. Broken sleep or people that have trouble sleeping, they struggle during the day. So I think that would be the case for that. But don't forget, I'm not promoting this for anybody that does not have sleep disturbances. It is only for sleep. It's like I always say, if you don't have an infection, an antibiotic's not going to do any good. You know what I mean? There's no point. And it's the same thing here. We're actually going after something with this one, sleep disturbances, which affects about anywhere from 50 to 75% of the US population. And by the way, the more noise, the more distractions we have in our lives, the worse it gets. And this can be a calming agent and a great way to kind of reset your circadian rhythm, and you can get it all working.
And then we have Elizabeth asked, is it safe for children?
Listen, I'm going to leave that to anybody, a personal decision, from a business standpoint. I mean, the answer would be there's no scientific reason that it wouldn't be, but I'm not going there because I live in a world of business. So we always say, adults, this is what it's for. That's going to be up to you to kind of look at the whole thing there and click on all those studies. And they use it for children that have sleep terrors. I do know that.
Are there any?
Conflicts with any medication? Okay. The answer to that is yes. If you're on high dose, what we call SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which is the most common compound for depression, it can add serotonin now and put you into a different place we call serotonin syndrome. So if you're on, but that's why we put only 50 milligrams of 5-HTP in there, because many people aren't going to tell you they're taking it, and it should not affect that. It shouldn't. But if you're on that, I would always talk to your doctor. And your doctor, sadly, they're not going to know anything about that. But that just gets you a clearance, or it's a CYA, cover your ass statement. So yes, it could. I think that because of the ability to produce serotonin from some of the ingredients in here, it might take you over the top, and then they would have to adjust your depression medication accordingly. So I would rather just stay away from that all the way around. And I don't know about that, about the Parkinson's disease thing. I know that many of those ingredients are used in Parkinson's disease. But I'm not. And I would just, if I was you, Mark, I would just go right to PubMed and just kind of do a good search on Parkinson's, lemon balm. The only ones, Parkinson's, 5-HTP, lemon balm, and melatonin, and kind of look at that and then just see if there's any contraindications. You bet. We good?
Yeah,
So a good one, everybody. Good one. And we got a recording. So anybody wants the recording and the deck you will have. So you don't have to worry about that. You'll have everything you need on the deck and be able to click on all those studies. So that's now your PDSRG for this product as well. Any questions you have, you know me, Neal at dotFIT.com, cat at dotFIT.com, and we're all good. So you guys are all superstars. Thank you for helping save your community, and save people from the horrible trap of big pharma, except when they truly, really need it. If we can prevent it with some good stuff here and make their lives better and their kids' lives better and everyone around them better, then that's what we're here for. Appreciate y'all. Until next time.
thank you.
Have a great March.